Embracing the darkness, how feeling every emotion builds your healing foundation. Welcome to the soft girl era, where we're not afraid to get real about what it truly means to embrace our full humanity, including the parts that hurt. Today, I want to share some profound insights from my conversation with Shellie Williams, a remarkable woman whose wisdom on emotional healing has transformed countless lives across the globe. Shellie isn't just a thought leader, she's a revolutionary who has created safe spaces for people to experience their full emotional spectrum, particularly for Black women who have historically been denied the luxury of vulnerability. Her groundbreaking work has helped thousands reclaim their emotional birthright and find healing in places they once feared to tread. Have you ever noticed how we're constantly told to stay positive or look on the bright side, as if feeling sad or angry or devastated is somehow a failure of character rather than a natural part of being human? We live in a world obsessed with happiness as a destination, rather than understanding that our emotional landscape is meant to be varied, textured, and yes, sometimes incredibly painful. 3 years ago, I was at a conference where the keynote speaker kept repeating, "Choose happiness," with increasing volume and enthusiasm. Meanwhile, the woman next to me was quietly wiping away tears. I later learned she had lost her mother just 2 weeks prior. Choose happiness must have felt like a slap in the face, a dismissal of her very real, very necessary grief. That moment crystallized something I've been feeling for years. Our culture has a profound discomfort with emotional pain. We've created an entire industry around avoiding it, from good vibes only merchandise to toxic positivity memes that flood our social feeds. We've become so afraid of sitting with discomfort that we'll do almost anything to escape it. We shop, we scroll, we binge watch, we overwork. Anything to avoid feeling what's actually happening inside us. But what if, as Shellie Williams so eloquently shared with me, the path through darkness isn't about finding the light switch as quickly as possible? What if it's about allowing your eyes to adjust to see what the darkness itself has to teach you? When you are in a dark place, Shelley told me, make sure you allow yourself to feel every emotion, as it will set the foundation for your healing journey. This wisdom flies in the face of everything our achievement oriented society tells us, especially for Black women who have historically been expected to be strong beyond measure, to keep pushing forward regardless of what we're carrying. The strong Black woman trope hasn't just been a stereotype, it's been a survival mechanism, but one that comes with deep cost to our mental, emotional, and physical health. Let's be honest. How many times have you swallowed your tears in the bathroom at work? How often have you said, "I'm fine," when you're anything but fine? How frequently have you pushed down grief, rage, disappointment, telling yourself you don't have time for these feelings, that you need to keep it moving? I see those nods. I feel you. What Shelley helped me understand is that this approach isn't strength, it's emotional bypass. And it comes with a steep price tag. When we refuse to feel our emotions, they don't actually go away, they go underground. They become landmines in our bodies, our relationships, our work. They show up as chronic illness, as sudden explosions of anger, as numbness, as burnout. The research on this is clear and compelling. Studies from the field of psychoneuroimmunology show that suppressed emotions can literally compromise our immune systems. One study found that people who habitually suppress their feelings have higher levels of inflammation markers in their blood. Another study showed that emotional suppression is linked to decreased memory function, and cognitive performance. Our bodies keep the score, as trauma expert Bessel van der Kolk famously noted. But this isn't just about physical health, it's about wholeness, it's about authenticity, it's about liberation. As Shelley Williams puts it, your emotions are messengers. When you silence them, you miss crucial information about what you need, what matters to you, what's working in your life, and what isn't. Think about that. Your sadness is telling you what you value. Your anger is highlighting where your boundaries have been crossed. Your grief is showcasing what and whom you've loved deeply. These aren't weaknesses, they're data points, they're wisdom. During our conversation, Shelley shared a framework that I found incredibly helpful. She calls it the 4 R's of emotional processing. The first R is recognition, simply naming what you're feeling. I am angry. I am heartbroken. I am disappointed. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary for many of us who've been conditioned to bypass our emotions. In fact, research shows that the simple act of naming our emotions can help reduce their intensity by activating our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for rational thought. The second R is respect, treating your emotion as valid, as worthy of your attention, not dismissing it with, I shouldn't feel this way, or other people have it worse. This is where self compassion enters the picture. The understanding that your feelings deserve acknowledgement, regardless of whether they seem justified to others. The third R is residence, allowing the emotion to actually live in your body, feeling where it shows up physically. Is there tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Heaviness in your limbs? This is where courage comes in because feeling emotions fully can be intense, but it's also where the magic happens, where the emotion begins to shift simply through your willingness to be with it. And the fourth R is release. Not forcing the emotion out before it's time, but creating conditions where it can move through you naturally. This might look like crying, movement, creative expression, or simply breathing with the feeling until it shifts on its own. Release isn't about getting rid of the emotion, it's about allowing it to complete its journey through you. Most of us, Shelley notes, get stuck at recognition. If we even get that far, we identify the emotion and then immediately try to fix it or push it away. But healing happens when we move through all 4 stages. I've been practicing this in my own life, and I can tell you it's not always comfortable, but it is transformative. Last year, I experienced a significant professional disappointment. A project I poured my heart into fell apart at the last minute. My old pattern would have been to immediately pivot to the next thing, to barely acknowledge the loss before filling my calendar with new opportunities. Instead, I decided to try Shelley's approach. I recognized my disappointment and grief. I respected these feelings as appropriate responses to loss. I allowed them to reside in my body, that heaviness in my chest, that lump in my throat. And then gradually, I created space for release through journaling, through conversations with trusted friends, through long walks where I let the tears come. The fascinating thing, when I finally did move on to new projects, I brought a clarity and creativity that surprised me. By fully processing what hadn't worked, I gained insights that informed what came next. The darkness had something to teach me, and I was finally willing to listen. This is what Shelley means when she talks about emotions setting the foundation for healing. When we allow ourselves to feel everything, not just the comfortable emotions, but the painful ones too. We build a more solid base for whatever comes next. For Black women, especially, this practice is revolutionary. We've been told for generations that our emotions are too much, that our anger is threatening, that our grief is unprofessional. We've been expected to be the strong ones, the ones who hold everything together while putting our own needs last. Shelley Williams reminds us that reclaiming our full emotional spectrum is an act of liberation. It's saying, I deserve to be whole. I deserve to be human. I deserve to honor every part of my experience. Your emotions are not a luxury, she told me. They're a necessity. They're the language of your soul. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about wallowing. It's not about getting stuck in pain or using difficult emotions as an excuse to harm yourself or others. It's about moving through, not camping out. As the poet Rumi wrote, the wound is the place where the light enters you, but the light can only enter if the wound is acknowledged, tended to, given the care it needs. So, what does this look like in practice? How do we create space for our full emotional experience in a world that keeps telling us to hurry up and get over it? Shelley offered several practical suggestions that I found immensely helpful. First, create daily rituals of emotional check ins. This can be as simple as pausing 3 times a day to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in my body? What does this emotion need? Second, find safe containers for your emotional expression. This might be therapy, a trusted friend, a journal, movement practices, art, any space where you can be unfiltered and honest. Third, practice self compassion when difficult emotions arise. Instead of judging yourself for feeling sad or angry or afraid, try placing a hand on your heart and saying, this is hard right now. It's okay to struggle. I'm here with you. Fourth, notice the stories you tell about your emotions. Are you labeling some feelings as good and others as bad? What if all emotions are simply information, simply energy moving through you? And finally, surround yourself with people who can hold space for your full humanity, people who don't try to fix you or rush you through your process, people who understand that healing isn't linear. As Shelley Williams so beautifully puts it, the people who can sit with you in the dark are the ones who help you find your way back to the light, not by dragging you there before you're ready, but by bearing witness to your journey. I want to leave you with this challenge. What if, starting today, you made a radical commitment to emotional honesty? What if you decided to stop running from the darkness and instead learn to see in it? What if you treated your feelings not as inconveniences to be managed, but as sacred messengers to be honored? This isn't just about feeling better, though that will likely happen. It's about living truer. It's about showing up in the world not as the person you think you should be, but as the gloriously complex, beautifully human person you actually are. The next time you find yourself in a dark place, and we all will, remember Shelley's wisdom. Allow yourself to feel every emotion. Let it move through you. Let it teach you. Let it transform you. Because when we have the courage to feel it all, we discover something remarkable. We don't just survive the darkness, we emerge from it more whole, more authentic, and more powerfully ourselves than we ever thought possible. Thank you.